Hi everyone, this is Chris of Chris Watches Pretty Little Liars, and here for episode 17, I have to be honest, the investigation has stalled. I have no idea what's going on, what's to happen. I don't even know how the season's going to end. There's so many questions. Got Ian being weird. Where's Noel Khan? I don't know. So a friend of mine said, look, Chris, let me help you out. I'll be joined later on by Becky Sanders, who is going to come at this investigation from a different angle. And I'm hoping her insight helps us all get one step closer to A.
Chris watches Pretty Little Liars. Chris watches Pretty Little Liars. Chris watches Pretty Little Liars, so he can help you figure out who's A.
So as I said before, this is episode 17. By the way, I'm Chris McGowan, a.k.a. Chris Magoogs, a.k.a. Chris, a.k.a. CJ. I may have used that one already. This one is called The New Normal, episode 17. And in the previously on, Arya has that line again, A has something on all of us. And I wrote it down because I was like, is that true? A knows about Arya and Ezra Fitz, which again is a very small group of people. Noel knows, so if Noel is part of the A group, I guess he would have told everyone. And A has something on Hannah, the whole money situation, although we're again a little confused as to how A knows that. But what does A have on Emily? It sounds like, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but it sounds like at the end of this episode, the majority of the school knows Emily is out, or at least, well, I don't know if she actually came out, but it's out there in the world. So A can't hold her sexuality over her head. So what is it that A has on Emily? And what does A have on Spencer? Is it the Ian Spencer thing? I mean, as far as a weapon, that's pretty weak. If anything, it helps Spencer against Ian. Her relationship with Melissa is already pretty bad, so I mean that's not really something to hold over her. So yeah, I don't know how true that is, Arya. And it could be this is through Arya's point of view that, well, of course A has something on everybody. I'm not quite sure that's true. Anyway, we start with all four of them inside Spencer's room. I believe we're in Spencer's house. We have another Ian and Melissa are in Philadelphia. A little side eye there from myself. And so they tried to crack the message, and they went with the letter route, which is what I did at the end of the last episode. B-A-D, bad. And Arya's still very mad at Hannah, as one would be, for trying to ruin their affair with their teacher. And then Arya's like, she thinks Toby may have punked them. Maybe Toby was lying about this piece of evidence. And then after a little bit more chatter, Arya just is like, you know what, I'm going to take off. I think Arya being around Hannah right now is a little too much for Arya, so she's like, I'm just going to go. And then Spencer and Emily are like, what's going on with Arya? And Hannah's like, I don't know. Cut to the Hannah household. Money's in the popsicle box. And Ashley says she's going to return most of the cash that she has left in the safety deposit box. If this were a sitcom, there'd be a laugh track as Hannah lets out Caleb. Ashley leaves with the cash for the safe deposit box. Hannah goes to the door and lets out Caleb. And Caleb's going to leave for Arizona, apparently. Looks like Caleb only has a limited deal here for the show. And then, oops, Mom forgot something. Ashley comes back in. Uh-oh, the hat was left behind, so Hannah has to dunk the beautiful hat into the sink. Cut to the school. Arya is glaring at Hannah, talking with Caleb. Clearly, there's something happening between Hannah and Caleb. I saw it a long time ago, as you all did, of course, but it's even more obvious, even now to Arya. And then Arya's like, you know what? She goes up to Hannah. I can't do it anymore. And they both kind of have this mutual apology. Not really sure Arya has much to apologize for. That said, she does feel bad. She values their friendship, and she wants to bury the hatchet. Arya says that Hannah didn't go through with it. Not quite sure if that's the proper reading of that, Arya. But you know what? If it's for the sake of the friendship and for the show, I'm all for it. Cut to, I think, the teacher's lounge, right? Ezra, I forget the teacher's name. I mentioned her previously. This is the teacher that's been catching Ezra and Arya. She's sitting there, and Ella's there, Arya's mom. They're all having a little chit-chat about some sort of author that's going to be in town, and the teacher invites Ella to go to this little reading, and Ezra's like, yeah, sure. Ella's like, yeah, I'll go. And then cut to Emily and Spencer having a chat about Toby. You know, like, what do we do about Toby? And then they say, what's up with Hannah and Caleb? They kind of give her a hard time about it. And then they kind of talk about Toby, and Toby's like, be careful. Like, Toby was really... So I guess they're all in the same room together, right? I guess it's the cafeteria. I guess the teacher's eating in the cafeteria with the students. So here's a new guy alert.
Who the fuck is this guy?
This dude comes storming in there looking for Coach Fulton. Now we have her name. Coach Fulton is the swim coach and PE teacher. Nick McCullers, literally bursting into the scene. He wants to find the coach, and he says out loud to, I guess, everybody, "Is the school PC now?" Oh boy. Ezra stands up, gets right in this dude's face. Listen, Ezra's face down with Noel Kahn, one of our many A's. Nick McCullers is a walk in the park. There's a few shots of Paige like hiding her face. She's so embarrassed. Ezra says, "Look, don't do this in front of everybody. If you want to have an issue, you want to talk to the coach, great. You want to talk to me? Let's do it outside. Here, let's not do it here." And then Dad's basically saying Emily has gotten the position on the swim team which we later find out because she's gay, openly gay, and that Paige didn't get it because, well, Paige is not. Question mark? And then, who the fuck is this guy, part 2?
Who the fuck is this guy?
Mr. Leland walks into Ash's office, cut to Ash's office at work at the bank. Mr. Leland, claiming to be Esther Potter's nephew, which he later kind of says great nephew, from Syracuse. And right away Ashley's like, "Well, I thought Mrs. Potter told me she had no living relatives." And he's like, "Well, I'm here." And he has his paperwork. Ashley's suspicious already. And she's like, "Well, it's going to take some time to run this." And he's like, "Yeah, it's okay, I'm here for a few days." And then there's a little tense chat here about Mrs. Potter. And I kind of sensed this right away. And sure enough, this dude with the blonde hair asks out Ashley. Yeesh. I was very uncomfortable. That very awkward ask. And this is just a question to my listeners. Is this guy attractive? Why would Ashley go out with this guy? I don't know. Cut back to the school. Paige runs up to Emily, says, "Look, I didn't tell my dad anything. He just kind of did this himself. He kind of freaked out. But Emily's kind of mad. She's like, "You know what? Let's not do this, Paige." We pan over to Ella and Byron having a little chat in the hallway. Apparently, parent-teacher night is coming up, and Ella tells Byron about Nick McCullers and his nonsense. So he's informed about that. And Byron gets the idea that Ella really likes Ezra. Then Byron awkwardly asks for another date, and she kind of says yes, I think, right? It's very awkward, but he's already jealous, and he only gets more jealous as the episode continues. Cut to Toby's. Spencer shows up. Spencer's trying to talk to Toby. He's like, "Look, come back on Saturday. Jenna's at her flute lesson on Saturdays. We can chat then." We see the window flutter again. Toby takes off. Text from A. Jenna is going to be with a whole bunch of O's, pissed. Was that Allison? Very curious. Cut to a fun 4-way, 2-person each telephone scene. First we have Hannah and Emily on the phone. There's a very awkward Pam walking by Emily's room. Super tense. Pam offers Emily cobbler, talking about the day's events. Then swoop over to Aria and Spencer having a chat. And Spencer telling Aria that Toby says they read the message wrong. And then Spencer deduces Aria's actually at Ezra's. Awkward. Cut to Ezra's apartment. Ezra coming back in with takeout. And he tells Aria, "Hey, meet your dad tomorrow." And boy, that's a really awkward situation there. And everyone's like, "Hey, let's just be normal." Cut to Hannah's home. Ashley's going to be going off for drinks with creepy Mr. Leland. And I actually legitimately enjoyed the scene. Not that I don't enjoy this show, but this scene actually made me laugh quite a bit. Caleb's at the door, like Eddie Haskell. Caleb Rivers is his full name. Caleb Rivers. Let's keep that in mind. Caleb introduces himself. And I'm like, what is he doing? And I guess, then Ashley pulls Hannah aside. Is Caleb a rebound from Sean? And Hannah's like, "No, he's just a friend." And the doorbell rings again. Caleb gets the door, and it's Mr. Leland. Creeptastic asks for Mrs. Marin. Did I know that was her last name? I don't know if I know Hannah's last name off the top of my head. And I guess Ashley is divorced, I guess, so maybe that's her maiden name. But anyway, that's her name. Mrs. Marin. Mrs. Marin? Is that what he says? I wrote it down, Mrs. Marin. Anyway, Caleb and Mr. Leland have this nose-to-nose chat. You can tell already. Caleb's sniffing him out. Something's not right? And he says, "Ashley's here with her daughter." And Mr. Leland goes, "Daughter?" And he's like, "Who are you, Caleb?" And he says, "The guy that opens the door." Very, very funny. Ashley then, before they go out for drinks, has this dude fill out his paperwork. Caleb very obviously looks over his shoulder. I wrote in my notes, he should roll to forge. I bet you he's going to be able to forge that signature. Or at least he did some sleuthing. They take off. Caleb and Hannah regroup, and she says, "Mom thinks you're trouble." And then Caleb kind of goes into this whole little Sherlock thing, which he does for the rest of this episode. And he's like, "This Leland dude, he's totally a scammer." And I'm going to find out how. Cut to... Oh boy, this scene was tense. We cut to a parent-teacher meeting with Ezra and Byron. And right away, Byron says, "So you're taking my wife out?" Ezra's like, "What?" And this whole thing about Leonard Adams, this author that Byron thinks is terrible, thinks he's a fake. And Byron's really drilling Ezra. So jealous and weird. It's a super awkward conversation. Like Ezra's there to talk about Arya, and Byron's acting all jealous. So, super awkward. Cut to clothing store with the 4 liars. I guess this is the next day, or maybe later that day, but Arya and Hannah come clean about pretty much everything. The ticket, the A note, everything, and then also about Caleb, saying that he is sleeping in her basement. Even Arya's like, wait, what? And then as they're shopping there, Jenna is getting fitted in the other room with some sort of lace thingy. I think it's supposed to be spicy, but everyone is all kind of freaked out when they see her getting fitted for something. I guess I think it's Toby related, but cut to Ezra. Cut to Ezra's apartment, and he basically says, Arya, your dad was so mad at me. And I wrote in my notes, this is quite a love square. So we have Ella kind of crushing on Ezra a little bit. Clearly, Ezra and Arya are in a relationship. And then we have Byron and Ezra really mad about it. Byron thinks that it's about Ella, but boy, when he finds out, hoo boy. Cut to Spencer takes another crack at the Braille message, and she hits up. She has a eureka moment, but we don't know why yet. Cut back to school. Yes, it's at the school. So this is at the school. Pam and Ella are having a chat, of all people. And Ella tells Pam what's going on. Nick McCullers thinks that Emily's getting special treatment because she's gay. And I think for the first time, this really hits Pam. And we get her full reaction later on. But that really affects her in a way that, up until now, I guess it hasn't. Cut to Spencer knocking on Toby's door. I guess the door is open, so she's able to walk right inside. It's really creepy. She walks into a room with a whole bunch of snow globes. And then Toby, of course, appears in the doorway. Guys, I've warned you. I've told you before. Stop running up behind people like this. But he's like, put it back. She does a whoo, almost drops it, but she doesn't. And Toby tells her the good news. The DA is dropping charges. Now, they could recharge Toby if new evidence comes to light. But for now, the charges are being dropped. And something about blood evidence being corrupted. And I noticed Spencer and Toby were holding hands a little bit here. Is Spencer crushing on Toby? Never would I have thought. Then Toby basically says, I gotta wait for someone to take me to the courthouse. And Spencer's like, I'll do it. Let's do it now. To get the ankle bracelet off. Got back to Hannah. Caleb kind of tells Hannah about James Leland. Guess who James Leland is? Person in the Syracuse area. Dead 2 years ago. Caleb says to Hannah, knowing the right questions is better than the right answers, which I feel like is a little message to us watchers here. Back to Toby's house. Jenna's back. She gets out of a cab, and Spencer says, I'm driving Toby to the courthouse. And she's like, well, I have a cab here. And Toby says a few times, I'm going with Spencer. And I thought he was going to bend and break, but they ended up leaving. Spencer and Toby leave. Jenna is furious. Absolutely furious. Cut to Hannah. Hannah tries to tell her mom that Leland is a scam, but Ashley's like, listen, I can't stop him. So he's gonna get whatever he wants because I have no evidence. I can't trust this boy with the cool hat. Cut back to Arya, and she she asks her dad at home, hey, how'd that meeting go with my teacher, with Mr. Fitz? Calls him weak. Doesn't like him. Byron hates Ezra. Cut to the bank. Ashley presents the little box to, quote, James Leland, and unquote. Ashley, there's like $3,000 in there, and he looks disappointed, and she's on to him. For some reason, he doesn't take the cash. He puts it back in the safe deposit box. I didn't quite understand that, but I guess he thought it was a bigger payday, and he just puts it back. I don't know. Cut back to the school, and Pam asks about McCullers again, and she sees him, and she walks over to Nick. And she basically stands up to him and says, don't you dare talk about my daughter that way. She's earned everything she's gotten. Don't think that there's some sort of special treatment for her. And he's like, So she leaves with Emily, and they have a little chat to the side. And basically, Pam says to her daughter, I still don't understand what it is you're going through, or who you are, I guess even. But no one hurts my child. And for Emily, that's a step. So they hug, and Emily seems a little happier. We cut back to the infamous sign at the edge of town. Toby and Spencer are there. The tag is gone. I don't know where the tag went. It's a very kind of romantic scene. They're by the moonlight, and Toby's like, I need some sort of change here. And then it hits Spencer to tell him, oh, it wasn't bad. It was 2 and 4, which is, if you recall, we uncovered last week. And Toby's like, I don't know what it means, but does it mean anything to you? I overheard Jenna and someone else talking. That was something that came up, and they don't know. And Toby says, I was afraid of Jenna, but now I'm not afraid anymore. But Jenna is afraid of the 4 liars. So that's interesting. Cut back to the school. Emily is leaving her swim meet. Paige gets in her car a little aggressively. Emily's a little creeped out. And then there's a smooch. Paige puts a smooch on Emily and says, don't tell, and runs out of the car. Okay, and so that happened. Back to Hannah's household. That's right. Back at Hannah's household, Caleb's getting orange juice to put in a little flask, and then it goes back down to the basement. Yeah, a little awkward. There's a little tension there. A little like, ooh, ooh, like. And then the doorbell rings. Hannah goes to the door, and there's an exterminator there. It says, "Are you a?" Someone sent me to. His name tag is Angelo, by the way. Nice job there, costumers. There's an infestation in your basement, so clearly this is A telling Hannah that they know that Caleb is in her basement. Cut to Ezra's apartment. Arya and he are making out. Byron leaves a voicemail, so Byron wants to hang out with Ezra, and clearly that kills the mood instantly for both Ezra and Arya. Cut to Spencer and Toby, a little driving montage, and as they're driving, there's a little motel they pass by, and there's a room 214. The camera person was giving us a hint that that's where they need to go at some point. Finally, we get to a really strange button. It looks like it's from a different show. There's someone walking to a gravesite with flowers. Esther Potter, to sleep perchance to dream. I didn't even understand this one at all. Is this to imply that A had something to do with Mrs. Potter passing away? Yeah, it's very, 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 very strange end there. So, where are we at? I'm lost. Completely lost at this point. A's been kind of taking quite a back seat at this point. We've been dealing a lot with the character drama. I don't know. I don't know what is going on, to be perfectly honest with all of you. I still think there's many A's out there. Looks like they're taking Fiverr. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Let's get some help. I needed new eyes on this case, so I'm joined by Becky Sanders, a comedian, musician, and as she told me, A in training, which we'll get to the reason for that. But Becky, welcome to Chris Watches Pretty Little Liars.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Chris. This is the best. It's nice to have a reason to begin Pretty Little Liars.
which is a funny thing, because I was talking about this podcast, and you were like, can I help in some way? And you are approaching this a little differently than some of my other guests. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, I don't know. I'm just a pretty little baby. I've never seen an episode. So this is, actually, I don't usually watch shows like this. So this is one of the first shows that I've been like, yeah, episode 17. Absolutely.
Yeah. And as you teased, just so everyone knows, Becky has not watched episodes 1 through 16. So she dove right into the middle here in episode 17, and the idea was, I'm stuck, as you all know. I'm stuck in the case, and Becky's fresh eyes on the material.
Absolutely. I am a detective in my own imagination, so I'm very qualified for this.
So before we even get into the individual storylines, I just want your general impressions of the show. This is your first exposure to it. I know you're coming in a way. What do you think so far?
Yeah. Okay. So I want to tell you, but first I do need to just jot down the names of these main characters.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like it'll be very irritating if I just keep getting them wrong to you excellent Chris fans and Pretty Little Liars fans. I know there's a lot of crossover.
Small, but yeah, they're mighty.
So give me their names. We got the teacher fucker. What's her name?
That's Arya.
Arya. Great. Then we have Blondie loves the foster kid, run away.
Yeah. That's Hannah. Hannah with no H at the end. Only one H. H-A and an A. Okay.
I would never. I'm writing blonde with an E at the end to help me remember.
Sure.
And okay, and then okay, I don't even know how to describe this girl. She looks like she's into horses with the braid.
Spencer.
Okay.
Which I called her Preston initially, so I call her Spencer Preston, but her real name is just Spencer.
Great. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Might as well get it wrong from the get-go. Spencer Preston. So, okay, the creepiest man I've ever laid my eyes on that Spencer was hanging out with that has the sister named Jenna. I remembered her name.
Oh, Toby.
What's that guy's?
Toby.
No, that's Toby.
That's
okay.
Toby. Interesting take
I've got
already.
A lot to say about Toby. He will haunt my nightmares tonight.
Wow, I cannot wait. Okay.
And then we have the gay swimmer.
Yep, that's Emily. Mm-hmm.
Emily, great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And her competition with the bangs of secrecy.
That's Paige McCullers, as we find out. Yeah.
Paige McCullers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I'm missing a main girl, right? Or is that the four of them that are the main girls?
Well, there is, which actually was I don't even know if I want to give it away, but we don't see their friend, who is kind of the presence in their lives. So her name is Allison.
Okay,
is the friend who disappeared.
I did. Mm-hmm. I remembered Allison
Mm-hmm.
because the A thing. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on board. Okay.
Great.
So those are the important ladies.
Sure.
Well, I remembered. I saw a gal from Charmed. I was like, I'll remember her name, Ellen. Right?
Yeah, Ella. It's pretty close. Ella. Yeah.
Okay, Ella. All right. And then I remember hot English teacher is Ezra until I became very disappointed in him very early in this episode.
Okay.
So, but I didn't know. I didn't know what I was walking into. I was just like, yeah, all right. Hey, baby, tell me about James Joyce.
Lovely.
I don't want him to tell me.
This is amazing. This is amazing already. So is there any other, again, fresh eyes coming into the case, is there any general impressions you want to get into before we kind of dig a little deeper? Like, anything you want to
Wait,
ask me?
I didn't, the one other is, who's Hannah's basement boy? What's his name?
Oh, that's Caleb.
Okay, so I love Caleb.
Okay.
He's my fave so far.
Mm-hmm.
I like his sassy, just walk right in and see the mom attitude. It really moves me. Also, his hair is really right. I totally buy that hair for that character. Usually they try to shoehorn long hair onto some random character, but he should have long hair.
Right.
So that's my gut impression is way to go, Caleb. Toby, creepiest motherfucker I've ever seen. Like, just weird. His eyes are weird. His intensity is weird. Did he kill her? What? He's on trial for killing?
We'll get there. But yeah. Okay.
All I know is that his case was dropped
Mm-hmm.
and that they could yank him back at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those things seem not great. Toby,
Mm-hmm.
you creepy guy. So he's A, probably. I don't know. Is A creepy? I don't know. She seemed fine in this episode. I get the sense that I'm supposed to be afraid of her, but I'm way more afraid of Toby.
All right. Well, let's go ahead. I mean, you're already leading us there. Let's deal with Spencer and Toby first. Spencer's kind of storyline had to do with Toby. So
does she ride a horse in other episodes?
You know what? She better. Now that you've said that, I will never.
Vibes.
That's a great ping, because her family, I would say, is probably the wealthiest of the four of them. Although Allison, whom we don't see too much, obviously, for reasons, I think might
Toby
be.
killed her.
Well, that's the question. That's the question, Becky. Do you want to go ahead and tell me you think A is Toby?
I mean, well, okay. No, I guess that wouldn't be truthful to just my experience of this episode, because I feel like I'm supposed to be afraid of A, but my experience of this episode is A is like a cute little guardian angel that's like, oh, hey girl, I see you. She's like I have a very sweet roommate who likes to track people on the Find My Friend.
Sure.
You know this about me, Chris.
Oh yeah.
So in my head, maybe my roommate Caroline is A, actually.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. So Toby or Caroline. Great. So you tell me, do you want me to fill you in on the gaps you don't know, or you just want to kind of tell me what your impressions are? Because either or works for me.
I mean, I would love to be corrected if you'd like to correct me.
Not corrected, but as the new investigator, like the evidence you saw.
Yeah, guide me. Chris, you're my pretty little daddy. I told you that. I'm a pretty little baby. You're a pretty little daddy.
All I'll say is A was very nice this episode. Usually they are not this nice. Usually they.
Okay.
Well, we'll jump to Ari really quick with the whole parents, and we'll get to Ezra, I'm sure. But A actually sent Hannah a ticket for Ari's mom to go to an event that Arya and Ezra are going to be at. So A set them up for a horrible, horrible reveal of the relationship. I
mean, okay. On the one hand, that would be rough for Arya, but on the other hand, now I'm 30-year-old. I'm a woman in my 30s. My perspective on this is different, but I say save the baby from the adult man. That seems like a really kind thing to do, eh? He's a grown man. Get him someone his age. What are we doing here?
Mm-hmm. All good points. All good points.
A is a master as far as I'm concerned. Guardian angel, just looking out, making sure you're safe.
No, okay, I love that. I love that take. That is a really fresh perspective. I've been thinking A is the kind of the villain, but you make a very good point. Very good point.
I mean, the trauma of spending your teen years being groomed up for an English teacher. I'm sorry. If you're gonna get groomed, like, go aim higher, my girl.
Fair enough. So what do you make of Arya's dad thinking Ezra's hitting on Dad's wife, which they've been having marital problems? There's a lot of problems with Arya's parents' marriages, but clearly his dad's like puffing up his feathers,
Yeah, but Ella was like, come puff up your feathers, like.
Oh, you think she's into it?
Oh yeah, I think she was like, oh hey, Ezra's taking me to see this author that I barely like. Isn't that cute? That is girl code for a hey bro, flex. I want to see you punch a man for me.
And he was going to.
I know.
Yeah.
And that Ezra really deserves the punch in a way that Ella apparently could not anticipate.
Now, what do you make of now this scene is even worse in my opinion when they're I've talked about this with somebody else. So when Arya and Ezra are having their their takeout smooch fest.
Yeah.
The show has been very clear not to show them going past smooching. Do you think that they've gone, not that this makes it any better, but do you think that they've gone past smooching when the camera has panned away?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Those two are hot and they're hot and they should bone, but they should be the same age if they're gonna bone. Or this is the thing. I don't even know how old this character is supposed to be. I hate that 18 is like the magical age where now women are like available to predators. I think that's just kind of baloney. Like, I don't mind an age difference, but like I feel like until you're like, my whole thought on it is like, until you're 25, you should only date someone like 3 years different from you. Mm-hmm. Just because that's still adolescence. I think later, like, we're just going to keep pushing your adolescent years later and later. I don't know. Maybe Ezra's only supposed to be 25, but still she's not in the 3-year gap, I don't think. So.
Yep. He is probably supposed to be 22-ish. She is 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
I mean, it's authority. Like later on, your teachers are less authority-ish, but in high school, your teacher's your boss, and your boss is now got power over you, and especially at school when like it can affect your whole life with college. Get out of here, Ezra. Just let the girl read her To Kill a Mockingbird. He's okay. I don't think I could date someone who's never read To Kill a Mockingbird. Like if I was on a date and I found that out, I'd be like, well, go home and read and then we can go out later.
Then you'd find out how long they take to read it. Like, oh, okay, it took them 3 months.
That's fine. I'm not a snob like that.
Okay, yeah, you don't care how long it takes them, just as long as they get it done.
I think they need to have imbibed the content before they're ready to date someone.
Yeah, that's fair. Wow, that's such an interesting perspective. Again, I think the show does a very good job of, even though I, as well as a viewer, I'm like, this is not okay. The show still makes you empathize with her so much, you kind of root for her in that way. Mm. And yet, the way you're putting it, A may actually be trying to help her in a very unhelpful way, but still, the goal is to get her out of that.
Chris, I'm rooting for her, but I'm not rooting for her hormones right now. I'm rooting for her whole life. I want her to go off, and I want her to go to college. I want her to do a year abroad. I want her to, learn a new language. I'm looking long term. You got this, Arya. You're a gorgeous girl. You're relatively intelligent. This isn't your fault. He's a handsome, successful man. He's what you're supposed to be looking for. This is his fault. You're a child.
I love it. I love it. It's going to go in the files for my superiors to take a look at later. Let's move to Hannah, a little bit more age appropriate. I flirting with Caleb. We also have the Leland subplot, which I'm curious as what your take is on going on there, as well as Hannah's mom. What is your take on that evidence as you saw this week?
Okay, yeah, I love that Caleb is a pen snob, and that's how he figured that out. That's excellent. I actually feel very validated by that because I too am a pen snob. And I mean, my pens aren't made out of plastic, so I'm not that much of a pen snob, but like I like a good roll.
Sure.
So I get where he's coming from. I think it's like I think it's cool that he figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the deal with this Leland guy is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the like supposed are we supposed to think that there's chemistry between mom and this Leland guy, because he's creepy and like
Yeah.
she is like visibly nervous to be near him, and I don't know who. See, now this is Arya's future. If no one ever corrects this behavior, then she'll be going to drinks with guys that she's afraid of for the rest of her life, just like Hannah's mom, which is, that's just not the type of empowered women we need in this world.
She is my favorite mom because, and the show hasn't done this, but I have a theory that she is much sharper than we as an audience may get. Because I think she had because she first meets Leland, right? This episode, I think for a second she's like she picked up on it. And I think she went to drinks to kind of dig a little deeper because she has the papers right there. I think she's sharp. I think she was trying to maybe dig a little deeper because what has happened is that Hannah's mother has kind of stolen money from this person who walks in and says he is their step, whatever he says, step or like long lost nephew or whatever. So instantly she's like, well, A, I don't want him to find out, pun intended, and B, is this really who he says he is?
Yeah, okay. So I only got a hint of the stolen money. Like I remember Hannah being like, she doesn't need it anymore. But like that's something that this show does not want outsiders, because like for the first half of the episode, like there were no nouns or verbs. There was just like very, very suggestive language that something had happened. So I knew for sure I'd missed out.
Right. Okay. And Caleb, well, again, I know you're seeing intentionally. You're just seeing this episode. You're a big fan of Caleb.
Love
and,
Caleb.
He's a little Sherlocky, right? This episode. Is there anything else about him you're picking up on? The boy from the other side of tracks, right? Is that the trope that he's playing, right?
Yeah, but he's the sweet boy from the other side of the tracks. He's choosing to run off to Arizona, and bad boys just don't run to Arizona. I don't know how to tell you. They're born in Arizona and then they run elsewhere. You Arizona bad boys.
Shout out to them listening. Fantastic. Let's save Spencer and Toby for last, because I feel like you have a lot to say there. So let's talk about Emily, her swimming, her Paige, which is a whole thing, and then her mom and Paige's dad. That whole situation. Quite a lot happened.
Yeah, that was the clearest part for me to follow, because it was like, great, got it. They're competing. Also, it was in the recap that they had tied, so I was like, okay, I understand that drama.
Sure.
But yeah, so you see those bangs, right away, Paige has a secret. As a woman who has bangs and secrets, it's very important.
Is that just so everyone knows you have a secret, or is it just like it comes out of the secret? Like literally you're like, you know what?
I think the truth is, like, I'm afraid that my eyebrows and my forehead will give my secrets away, so I gotta shield it. Shield it.
We jest, but that might be very interesting for Paige. Interesting.
She has eyebrow secrets?
I don't know. Now I'm going to be looking at her eyebrows.
Well, yeah, pay attention.
It's a lead. It's a lead. I'm desperate for leads.
It is a lead. Oh, I get it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, watch that hair. Yeah. It's very sharp. It's very angular. It's ready to give information. I gotta say though, Emily was like just talking about how she's sad her girlfriend's gone. Paige, I don't know if that was your moment. Like, I don't think that was an offer in. Like, seems like a perfectly great moment to be like, I am also gay. But it seems like a bad moment to be like, let me put my face on your face.
And also to follow her to her car and hop in without Emily knowing, right?
I'm pretty sure that scene was written by a man I've been on an accidental date with before. So this is not how.
Sure.
Not right.
It's not the best way to start things off. Yeah.
Emily, she's probably got some feelings right now. I love that she and her mom had a moment. Her mom saying, like, I love you, even though I don't understand. That was beautiful. so truthful,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because sometimes it takes people time to process information about loved ones because there's like this like, oh, it's a secret, and I didn't know what your bangs were hiding, or in Emily's case, her eyebrows weren't expressing, it was a lie of omission.
Mm-hmm. I did enjoy Nick McCullers doing when Pam was kind of giving it to him a little bit. That was nice to see. Yeah,
that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was. I don't understand. I have a sense of history from them, even though I don't know it. They seem like they have like a previous relationship of some sort. That. Do they?
Again, another lead for me. Pam and Nick passed.
Yeah, they seem like maybe, I mean, even if it's just like they went to high school together, they have something going on.
Okay. That's very good. I like that. Yeah, because there's definitely, with this show, some sense that there's something that we don't know that I think happened in the past. And so I'm always looking like, where are these threads? And that's something to look at. Interesting. And A didn't really harass Emily this episode. So I think we should go to our Spencer-Toby relationship. So Spencer is kind of like at the forefront of the investigation, as you could probably guess. She got a little secret note, little decoding action happening. Yeah. Toby and all the trial. I guess I got to ask you, what's your beef with Toby?
Oh my gosh, he's just a creep. He's got creep energy. I would not leave a girlfriend alone with him. I don't know. He's just like, the first way that I met him, basically, like he just was like, he had like big scary eyes at the camera and didn't say anything. And that was creepy. And then he had big scary eyes. It was like, my lawyer called. I'm not on trial for killing our friend anymore. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, Toby. I feel like also like a normal person might have some sort of emotions about that, like relief or guilt or anything. He's got big robot energy, alien energy, maybe.
Sure.
Maybe he's from another planet.
It could be a twist. Who knows? Season 2, maybe they go off.
Also, is this too dirty? But like, do he and Jenna, do they have like an incest thing going on? Is that?
They sure do.
Okay.
They sure do.
Okay.
You got that.
I picked up on it because she was very like protective or defensive. And he's very, very poorly adjusted. So it makes total sense that he can't function outside of his family. So he's finding his amorous affections there as well.
Yeah, they haven't really dug into and I'm a few episodes ahead now in my pre-recording. They haven't really talked about their parents too much, and I'm so curious what the full family picture is like, because I think they're step brother and sister. I can't remember if they are, but there's definitely an incest thing that happened, and I guess it went around. I think a lot of people know it's a whole thing. I'm a big Toby defender only because. The poor boy. And by the way, all the boys in this show need to learn to stop scaring the women on the show, because he shows up in that doorway. I'm like, Toby, say hi, hello, before you walk in there and scare Spencer, right?
Yeah, he's a creepy motherfucker. I don't know what to tell you.
Poor Toby.
Sorry.
Man. No.
Excuse me. What I meant to say is he's a creepy sister fucker. Please continue.
I don't know. Sorry, this is already perfect, Becky. I don't even know how we get topic from here. So Spencer does make a big breakthrough in the case, although she doesn't know at the moment what that means, at 214.
Yeah, but it's the hotel. I saw it at the end of the episode. Or motel with no vacancy.
Right. So you picked on it correctly. So basically, people thought Toby was responsible for Allison's disappearance. And so evidence has come forward, and he's kind of cleared, kind of not. So that's what all this is about. But Spencer is getting wrapped up in it. If you were Spencer's friend, if you were a part of this liar group, what would you be telling her right now as she's talking to Toby and kind of getting involved? Is it a good idea, a bad idea?
Oh, definitely a bad idea. Don't be alone with him. He's scary. He's a scary man. Stay away. Go ride your horse, girl. Go be free. I want all these girls to just go live their lives. Hannah, you can bring Caleb. He's cool.
Okay, Caleb can come.
Girls, yeah.
Can Paige come with Emily or no?
I think Paige just got a pushy energy. I don't know that Emily is ready to rebound that quickly. Like maybe eventually, but Paige, you're not reading the moments right. Like we could settle into that.
Now, I have to ask, because I found it slightly romantic. The little ending, the image where Spencer and Toby are like above the city, and they're like on this little hilltop, and they came together. Did you get any less Toby creepy energy there?
Chris, that was an absolutely gorgeous shot. Absolutely beautiful. And with any man that I was not afraid was about to murder her, I would have loved it. But he's creepy. I've been in some truly beautiful places. You don't just invite like any old creepo to come with you. To a romantic outlook is a romantic outlook. That's not his doing. He didn't build it.
That's true. Although also I noticed in this episode when she almost drops the snow globe, they do touch hands. It hangs on just a little bit longer. For sure.
Which would be very, very creepy.
You'd be like, catch it and put it back. Okay, continue talking.
Yeah, he's like, don't drop that. And like he snuck up on her. He's like, don't drop that. It's like, of course she's gonna drop it. You just snuck up on her, you creep.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So so let's just go ahead and ask you. So there's I have two questions for you then.
Okay.
There's A, who is texting people, right? You saw a little bit this episode, and they've been doing all sorts of stuff all season. Separately, Allison is quote murdered, and is the stance on the show. Allison faked her death. We don't know how, but she didn't really die. We didn't see her in her casket, so but
okay.
For everyone else's intents and purposes, according to the official record, Allison was killed. Who do you think A is? I know you based on who you've seen, and what do you think happened to Allison, if anything, and who might be responsible?
Okay, so I guess the information I'm wondering if I'm missing is if Allison didn't kill herself, does she have a reason to be upset with these girls outside of that? Like,
well, Allison, because we only know a little bit from flashbacks, and we get the impression she was actually quite a bully. And she was kind of a bully, and these four friends were kind of her circle. And so every time we see a flashback, she's doing something pretty cruel, and the four of them are kind of like, I mean, of course, they're in high school, right? They're not quite sure, like, what do we say anything? But Allison's got this really strong personality. So a lot of people, there's a few people who have said, I hated Allison, suspect. But then they'd be like, you were standing next to her and you didn't say anything. So that's kind of the legacy that is left behind. And I think all four of them are in their way coping with that as teenagers. I know I'm getting really deep here on the podcast. Yeah. But I think they're all kind of now thinking like, yeah. So she didn't make a lot of friends, Allison, unfortunately.
Well, she had four great friends that make terrible man decisions.
We didn't even see
Emily. She wasn't making terrible man decisions.
Right. Although she did at the beginning of the show, which thankfully you didn't have to experience that boy.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Allison too. I mean, if you saw Ian this episode, we'd be talking for another hour about Ian. We don't even have to go into Ian. So yeah, I guess the question is, do you actually think? I mean, you have no reference, I guess, but do you think Allison might have faked her death? Might have faked her death, or do you think someone actually did kill her?
Chris, there's literally no way Allison faked her own death because it was 100% Toby. Absolutely.
All right,
Toby
Becky
did it.
Becky is in the. So Toby definitely murdered Allison.
Toby murdered Allison.
Okay.
And then either is Toby, is Jenna covering for Toby in a weird way? Okay. Or my favorite solution just is my roommate Caroline. Those are the three possibilities.
So either Caroline, Toby, and or a Jenna Toby kind of combo.
Yeah. They got a real Lannister energy about them.
It's very appropriate. Now, I have a very wild theory that will be hard for you to comment on, but I'm the only one I feel who stands by this theory, so I'm going to ask you your opinion anyway. I have a theory that Jenna, who you met, is sometimes Allison posing as Jenna, as like cover, because since of course she faked her death, that's how she can move through the world. Do you think, based on what you saw, that is even remotely possible?
Oh yeah. Okay. So Jenna So in this scenario, Jenna is sometimes Jenna and sometimes Allison.
Yeah, so Allison's like hiding somewhere.
Yeah.
And then she puts on the wig and the glasses and the all black, and she walks around as Jenna.
Oh yeah, that is perfect.
Okay.
I think that makes complete sense.
Okay.
Because also then like, you know, her brother like can barely look at her because he's ashamed of what a creep he is, and their parents don't exist apparently, and except for his dad and the DA hang out, but other than that, you know. So yeah, I think that's a great place to hide. Either that, or once Caleb gets elevated out of the basement, she could hang out in that basement.
Oh, yeah, good point. I was gonna hide in there.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it. This is already extremely helpful, Becky, for the case.
I'm so glad I could help.
Oh my goodness, so much to work with here. So those are all kind of my prepared questions. I like opening the floor to my guests. Anything we didn't already talk about, feelings, thoughts, theories of your own, questions to me, etc.
Yeah, well, you told me that you are pro Toby. Is that what you said? Or
me and the position of this podcast is we are pro Toby. Yep.
Okay, all right. You're pro Toby. Got it. Great. How do you feel about Ezra?
I was kind of in your boat, but a previous guest did say that she was looking online, and people at 22 are still kind of maturing. She understood that relationship a little bit more, so I kind of felt a little less creeped out by it.
Well, because I was wondering because you've kind of got hot older English teacher energy.
Oh, thank you.
You're like, that's my guy. That is me.
This isn't a spoiler for you, because if you watch the pilot, this happens right away. He is when they first meet, they are in a bar. Okay, they are in a bar. He is drinking. He is a person over 21. This is one of those towns where I guess underage people can walk in. So Arya walks in and orders food to go. They make out in the bathroom right away.
Oh, but he's not her teacher yet?
And then he finds out, like a day later, she's in my high school class.
Okay,
but that changes
everything.
But they still continue. They know. They both know this, and they continue.
That changes some things for me. Does he know she's 16 when he goes for her?
Not when he goes for her. But literally a day or two later, he's like writing on the board and record scratch. She's sitting there.
That does slightly change things for me, just because I think like we can attach. Like we attach so quickly, and like my general like life and dating philosophy is like, if you've already engaged, it's gonna mess you up no matter how you disengage. So ride the course, maybe. I don't know. I still think Ezra could be the bigger person here. But I even more understand where Arya is coming from now.
Yeah, I think you're right. The onus is definitely on him, and he's had a few opportunities so far to kind of end things and even make her mad at him, and he's like, all right, we'll do it. We'll keep trying. So
yeah, Ella's gonna really ruin this by I don't know, maybe a seduction, or like more make my husband jealous. I don't know where she and her husband are at right now. If she's done with him, then she might just try to hit that. I don't know. We'll see.
And can you imagine that argument? Arya and her mom. How dare you? Like, why are you so mad? Oh.
That's like there's a Dolly Parton song that's about this. Do you remember? Oh my gosh, it's like about like Mama says not to go for a traveling man. It's because Mama's out with the traveling man. Mama's stepping out with the traveling man.
And what's so funny is that Dad. This is the first time Dad in the show has he's always been kind of like, and this is the time I'm like, dude, what is he like? Being really tough. I think he might have a very unhealthy reaction to how this all plays out.
Yeah. I mean, or a very healthy reaction.
I mean, he might be mad at Ari. Like I picture him handling this in probably the worst way possible when the information comes out. I think Ella will handle it appropriately with anger, but I think Dad may not do a very good job, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back to the beginning and start watching now so that I know what's up. Or maybe I'll just never know what happens before this episode.
That's amazing. Yeah, so anything else? Any other theories or questions or?
Let's see. I think that Caleb is going to figure out some big piece of clue based on other people's pen habits.
Sure.
Like maybe he'll see an unruly gel pen and be like, okay, unruly gel pen, this could only belong to one person in this town.
Caleb, what should I call him? Caleb the gel pen man?
Yeah, the pen snob or the pen detective.
I like the pen detective. I like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I meant to look it up. Who sings the theme song? Do you know?
I looked it up a long time ago. It's one of those voices you hear all the time. Is it the one that does Gilmore Girls? It might be.
No, Sam Phillips.
It's not? Okay.
But she reminds me of Kate Miller-Heidke, who is like a really badass opera cool chick. Anyway, I wanted to know if you knew.
I didn't know.
Not super relevant to the plot, but relevant to my interest.
We'll insert it here. Alison Catherine Pierce. There you go. Thanks, Chris.
God, that guy. Chris from the future knows everything.
Yeah. He has. Yeah, he's lucky that way, I guess. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, yeah. If you don't have anything else, we can call it here. Becky, the leads you have given me tonight are astounding. The case was kind of dead in the water, and I feel like we have a lot to work with here.
I'm just honored I could help. This is my dream, is to do television detective work.
For a show that's been off the air for 11 years, yeah.
Please hire me for all of your past television show detective needs.
Listen,
it's such a niche market that it was just so lovely to be asked by someone I consider such a dear friend.
Add it to the resume. We would love to have you back, but you can come back in whatever capacity. If you want to be a full A expert, then, because I know you said you're A in training, or you want to jump ahead 2 seasons and just watch a random episode. Either way,
I guess we'll just see how the schedule falls out.
Sure. Well, I'm doing this for 3 years, so you have some time.
Great. I will definitely see you soon.
right, within those 3 years. Well, Becky, yeah, is there anything you want to plug? Socials, anything you're doing?
Yeah, if you want to follow my Instagram, it's at Becky Rocks. Mm-hmm. I was an early adopter. And yeah, that's where you can find most of my stuff. Some music, some comedy, potentially some mooning over Pretty Little Liars characters now. We'll see.
Lovely. Becky, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
Find me on Instagram and Twitter at Magoogs, occasionally twitching Mac to the Gow. And yeah, I've said enough.